Greetings everyone and welcome to the Occult Think Tank. My name is Greg. In this video I am going to be answering a question from an extremely ignorant Christian that probably won't even watch this video because trolls like this typically don't educate themselves, and they didn't before they ran their fucking mouth. The thing is, they proved me right in a prediction that I had made in my last video with how they started off with me. And for those that have followed my videos, just seeing this comment, you will know exactly why I got pissed. I got very pissed. The thing is, what this dumbass doesn't realize, number one, the girlfriend that I lost, I didn't lose because she left me. No. I lost her because she died. And only a moron like this would automatically assume a Christian would be with an atheist. I mean, that really, there's no way that somebody that holds on to Christian bullshit would be able to be with me for over 10 years with as vocal as I am in all of the problems in Christianity and why it fails time and time and time again. There's no way somebody would be able to hold on to that stupid shit with being around me when I'm making videos constantly, and I was doing internet radio for a while, and the religion subject has been a common horse that I beat. Then they tried to use the term backpedaling and the "I'm very sorry for your loss." Fuck you. You put your foot so far down your mouth that there's no recovery. I really have nothing but hatred for this both eyes up. Thing is, what else had happened in your life that made you so bitter that you're compelled to use your time and energy to produce this video? This stupid fuckwad actually thinks the video I just made the other day is the only one I've done. I've been doing this well over 10 years, making videos. And actually, before I was doing videos, before YouTube was really a thing, I was doing audio blogs on a site that no longer exists called Snapvine. But I've been doing videos, audio programs against Christianity for a hell of a long time. It's nothing new. But where is its gain? The gain is in teaching people. Because most people have never read the bullshit that's in the Bible. I have. I know it. I've interviewed an expert in Judaism. I'm very big on learning. But they go on to say, there's only two ways to go, brother. What are you, fucking a Hulk Hogan wannabe? You're not my brother. You can get bent. Either up or down. No, stupid, we're all going down. It's called 6 feet under. No one is going up. Well, unless you're Gene Roddenberry and your ashes get shot into space. But for the vast majority of us, where we're going when we die, it's down. 6 feet under, the grave, that's it. The idea that there is some kind of fiery afterlife. Morons like this really show their stupidity because they want to claim about this afterlife being spiritual, but yet their threats are based on physical pain or pleasure. It's all about physical. There's no spiritual about it. Because, truth be told, what the fuck is spiritual? The word spirit means wind or breath. But why do I oppose Jesus so much? It's simple. I did a video years and years ago called Jesus is Lucifer. And I was more accurate in that than I had realized. Because the word Lucifer only appears one time in the entire King James Bible. And it means, and I'll just enlarge this so everybody can really see it, what it means? Morning star. There is only one person in the entire Bible to identify themselves as the morning star. And that is in Revelation 22:16. I, Jesus, have sent mine angels to testify unto you these things that are in the churches. I am the root and offspring of David. Bullshit. But bright and morning star. Lucifer means morning star. Jesus admits he is the morning star. So, logically, Jesus is Lucifer. But also, according to the story, Lucifer wanted to be God. Christians worship Jesus as God. Now, before I get into too many of the book, chapter, and verse that I'm going to show you, this is something, if you want to write this down, these are the book, chapter, and verse that I'm going to be referencing in this. I want to show this because I've never broken it down and laid it out where you could write these down and check it after this video, or in a sense going along with what I'm showing you, to see this all for yourself, because this gets into a great big rabbit hole. But this is something that most Christians never actually do. They don't take the time to learn the Bible well enough to compile a list even like this. Now, I don't have, in a sense, notes beside it, because I have to where I know what connects to what. Like the Revelation 22:16 directly connects to Isaiah 14:12, because it is those are the only places morning star is mentioned. However, I wanted to show that because there was also something else that I had noticed, and for those that are aware of Christianity and Christians make a big to-do over faith. The main one, the one that was pushing the faith idea, wasn't Jesus. The That was Paul. Paul was the one that came up with the idea of faith. Faith over works. But the message Jesus taught, and you see it in Revelation 22:12, behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me to give every man according to his works. Not your faith, your work. What you do, not what you believe. The thing is, there is, when you're talking about the work of Jesus and what Jesus was all about, Christians like to paint this picture of basically a hippie Jesus. And the thing is, that's not the Jesus of the Bible. This is a picture that I had found years ago, and basically, yeah, when you see it, you'll shit bricks. But there's also, Jesus isn't coming back, he was nailed to a cross, not a fucking boomerang. And the I come quickly. I should have asked, define quickly. Because supposedly he existed about 2,000 years ago and still hasn't come back. Thing is, those are just some of the pictures that I have done over the years on my Facebook and so forth, just to basically poke the bear myself. The thing is, when it comes to the stories of Jesus and so forth, Christians do not understand the message of Jesus was not one of peace and love. Let me switch gears to Matthew chapter 10. Verse 34. Think not that I have come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. Verse 35. For I have come to set man at variance against his father, daughter against her mother, daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. Verse 36. A man's foes shall be they of his own household. Jesus was all about dividing people. He was not a figure of peace. He was not a figure of love. Then in verse 37 he says, he that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. He that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. Jesus is all about himself. You have to put him above everyone else. That is someone that is a narcissist. Somebody that will do the things like you're seeing in this. That's narcissistic behavior. The thing is, there is also, I think it's Luke 19. This is a parable that Jesus told that I want to go into, because this really gets at the heart of Jesus. Luke 19:12. He said, therefore, a certain nobleman went to a far country to receive for himself a kingdom and to return. And he called his 10 servants and delivered them 10 pounds and said unto them, occupy until I come. But his citizens hated him and sent a message after him, saying, we will not have this man reign over us. And it came to pass that when he returned, having received the kingdom, then he commanded these servants to be called unto him, whom he had given the money, that he might know how much each man had gained by trading. Then came the first, saying, Lord, thy pound hath gained 10 pounds. And he said unto him, Well, thou good and faithful thou good servant, because thou hast been faithful with a little, thou have authority over 10 cities. The second one came, saying, Lord, the pound hath gained 5 pounds. And he likewise said unto him, Be also over 5 cities. And another came, saying, Lord, here is the pound which I kept, and laid upon in a napkin, for I feared thee, because thou art an austere man. And just to be clear on what the word austere is, basically rough, severe, mean. You're an asshole. Thou takest up what you didn't lay down, and reapest what you didn't sow. And he said unto him, Out of thine own mouth will I judge thee, thou wicked servant. Thou knowest that I am an austere man. I'm an asshole, taking up what I had laid not down, and reaping what I didn't sow. Therefore then gavest not thou my money unto a bank, that at my coming I might have required mine own with usury. And he took the pound from him, and gave it to the one that had 10, and said unto them, He that hath been given, and from him hath not, even he that hath shall be taken away from him. But those mine enemies, and this is the kicker, but those mine enemies which would not that I should reign over them, bring them hither and slay them before me. This is a parable of Jesus. Now, let me backtrack a little bit in this. Notice all through this Jesus is big on profit, usury. There are multiple places in the Jewish Bible where the Jewish God was very specific in his not approving of usury. That it was something that was not approved of. It was not a practice that was supposed to be done. At least not, to use the term, between Jews. The thing is, this Jesus is all about usury, and I find it interesting that reaping what I did not sow and taking up what I didn't lay down, so much for you reap what you sow, which was a message of Jesus at an earlier point in the Bible. The thing is, you can't give a message in one breath of you reap what you sow, and then the opposite in another place. It doesn't work. But when you really have that, number one, that he's admitting he's a fucking asshole, but the absolute kicker is verse 27. Those that want to try, and I've heard Christians try and wiggle away from this. The thing is, this is a parable Jesus told. This was supposedly from your Jesus. And ideas with it of receiving himself a kingdom and return, that this clearly has implications of the Christian narrative of Jesus and having this kingdom, which he was never king of the Jews, for one, and return, which is also right in line with the ideas Christians have of Jesus is going to be returning, which atheists like myself say, yeah, bullshit. He's not coming back because dead people don't come back. The thing is, that shows between Matthew and Luke, that shows how evil Jesus is. But then to really get into the evil of Jesus, Revelation 14:10. The same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. The only way it would be in their presence is if he's in hell. Point blank. And if Jesus is in hell, and the other aspects of this bullshit story would be accurate, then I contend Jesus is Lucifer. And that everything he was about was opposing what the God of the Bible had said. Because another place that Matthew 20 verse 28, because this is where there is a direct conflict between the message of Jesus and that of the Old Testament God. For the Son of Man shall come not to be ministered unto, but to minister, and to give his life as a ransom for many. This is the heart of Christianity. The problem? It directly conflicts with Psalms 49, verse 7. None of them can by any means redeem his brother, nor give God a ransom for him. This in itself, what Jesus is saying, and what Christians have to admit, is, and I actually got one at one point to admit this. I had asked, what sins did Jesus die to pay for? And he had said, all of them. I was like, so somebody molests a child, then accepts Jesus, the harm they did to that child washed away. Doesn't matter. They're forgiven. The harm they did to that child, the irreparable damage that was done to that child will never be the same as they were before they were molested. But because they believe in Jesus, they can molest a child, destroy that child's life, and then go to this heaven because Jesus forgave them. So Jesus is pro-pedophile. The problem is you can use that for wife beater, child abuser, any quote-unquote sin. Since Jesus died to pay for it all, he's giving you a license to sin. He died to pay for it. So if you're going to look at sins like a pair of socks that you can have Jesus pay for them, thousands of years before you do them, then, well, shit, it's paid for. You might as well do it. You might as well do any evil thing you want. After all, it's paid for. That is the most evil system, the most evil philosophy that one could come up with. That is why, not to defend the God of the Bible, I mean, the Old Testament God is a son of a bitch in and of his own right. But he's clearly not in favor of the sadistic bullshit of Jesus. And here's one that I had talked about in other videos, Ezekiel 18, 20, and 21. I'm not going to totally go through this again because, like I've said in other videos, Christians only quote the first 7 words and then they stop. They don't want to read the rest of this because it rips apart their narrative with Jesus, and they most certainly don't want to see this. They want to ignore verse 21 as if it doesn't exist. The thing is, this would be the perfect place to put in. If you're going to have a Jesus come and take away everything, that would be the perfect place to put in. But if the wicked will just believe in the bastard kid that I'm going to send, then you can do anything you want and it'll be washed away. The thing is, that's immoral. That goes against morality in any way. The thing is, there is Isaiah 42, 8 and 9. I am the Lord, that is my name. That's not Jesus. Check this out. My glory will I not give to another. Oops, Jesus. Christians, you got a problem. The God of the Old Testament, the God of the Jews, is point blank saying, my glory will I not give to another, neither my praise to graven images. Christians are real big on wearing their fucking cross. They love their graven images because they're all about their golden calf, Jesus. They're all about their scapegoat. Because, like the jackass that I was dealing with this shit, they don't give a damn the harm that they would cause, the hurt that they would cause to others. That means nothing to them. The only thing they care about is their own sorry, self-centered ass. That's all they care about. This is all about all for me and fuck you too. This is absolutely vile. But there is also, and I had mentioned this one years ago, and I don't really mention it too much anymore because in a sense, I've moved on to other things, but he that justifieth the wicked and he that condemneth the just, even they both are an abomination to the Lord. Well, technically, if you go by the Bible, Jesus wasn't just. But if you ignore what I'm going to go into next and just look at the aspect from what Christians say, this is all about Christianity. That everyone is wicked and Jesus died as an innocent sacrifice, but they ignore even they both are an abomination to the Lord. How can you expect to be rewarded by someone that regards how you're behaving as an abomination? if you actually care about this shit, wouldn't you want to try and reconcile these problems instead of just looking at your golden calf Jesus and having faith in that shit? Because if you're wrong based on your own sadistic ideas, you would be tortured. Oh, wait a minute. The God of the Old Testament wasn't about torturing people in an afterlife. This is one that I didn't actually have in that list, but it's one that I've mentioned frequently. Jeremiah 32:35, and yes, what I'm doing in this, Mark Powers would call Rolodex Bible, but this is where the idea of burning children in fire was called an abomination. That which I commanded them not, neither came it into my mind. If it never entered the God's mind, you can't say God created this hell place as a place of torture for Satan and so forth, if it never entered his mind. You don't hear of people being cast into fire until Jesus. Jesus is the one that is all about burning people in fire if they don't think like you want. That is why I contend Jesus is Lucifer. But there is also, what I'm going to next is somewhere Christians love to quote. For the life of the flesh is in the blood. Leviticus 17:11. What they ignore is the context, because the subject starts at verse 10. And it is against the practice of eating blood or drinking blood. Now, this is something Christians have said the practice of drinking blood is satanic. They accuse Satanists of drinking blood, even though I have friends that are Satanists. I've never seen or heard them say about drinking blood. And that is what, if you actually read the whole thing, it is an admonishment of do not drink blood. Whosoever eateth it shall be cut off. That is why in John chapter 6, the Jews picked up stones to stone Jesus when he said, Jesus said unto them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, except you eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, you have no life in you. The Passover lamb had to be cooked and eaten. I've covered that in other videos. If Christians, if you want Jesus to be your Passover lamb, he had to have been cannibalized, because that lamb was to be cooked and eaten, and the blood put on the door. But it wasn't about sin. It wasn't even about forgiveness. What was the Passover about? The God killing firstborn babies. The Old Testament God is a monster in and of himself. But the absolute kicker with Jesus is Deuteronomy 21, verses 22 and 23. Because if any man hath committed a sin worthy of death, which would be the saying about drinking blood, and he be put to death, and thou hang him on a tree, his body shall not remain all night upon the tree, but bring him down in that day. And this is the kicker. For he that is hanged is accursed of God. That is why Jesus had to be taken down at sunset. But Christians want to try and say he was dead for 3 days. The Jewish day goes evening to morning. So if you figure Friday evening to Saturday evening, that's 1 day. Sunday morning, that's pretty much half a day. Jesus was executed on Friday, rose on Sunday. That's not 3 days. Going evening to morning. And just to establish that that is the way the day went, and evening and morning were the first day, and it goes all the way through the 7 days of creation, evening and morning. That is a lunar religion. It is a moon religion. Christianity is a sun religion. This gets into another rabbit hole, but you cannot have 3 days going evening to morning with the Jesus being taken down Friday evening and rising Sunday morning. That's not 3 days, that's a day and a half. So even his prediction of being dead 3 days, not according to the bullshit. The thing is, what Christians try and do is, even though Jesus wasn't dead until the evening, supposedly on this Good Friday shit, they want to count Friday, the whole day, as day one. And they want to, even though he rose on Sunday morning, they want to count all of Sunday. You see the game they're trying to do. They're not going by what is literally in front of their face. What we would have as 3 days, or to use the term 72 hours, not even close. But you can't do that, and this is the point behind all of what I do. My videos are intended to educate, to show you things in the Bible that you may not have known, to teach people. Because I studied this shit. I started studying this shit back when I was a teenager. Because at 16 I had said I wanted to know everything there is to know about God. I did not realize the rabbit hole that I was embarking on, because that gets into the alien subject, which I have covered in other videos. Because when you get into the aspect of the Sumerians and the Enuma Elish that I did a video about a while back, the Enuma Elish was the Sumerian epic of creation. And the flood story was actually from there, and it was stolen by the Israelites. And Israel, the name Israel actually comes from 3 deities. IS is Isis. Ra is Ra. El is the Canaanite god El, which is actually where the term Elohim comes from. And just to show you this, Elohim is a plural, meaning the gods. That's not meaning Jesus either, because the gods in the Sumerian story were Enki and Enlil, two brothers. Their father was Anu. But the Canaanite deity of El is what the Israelites or Hebrews had adopted as their deity. But the name Israel is a combination of the female goddess Isis, the Egyptian sun god Ra, and the Canaanite deity El. I find it interesting that it combines two Egyptian and one Canaanite into Israel. But that is, in a sense, yet another rabbit hole. There are a lot of rabbit holes that can be explored when it comes to the Bible and this bullshit. But I just want to be clear on something. This shit was made up by man, written by man. There is no evidence that there is a Holy Spirit guided any of this. But feel free to leave your thoughts and comments in the comments section. And one last time, in case anybody didn't get the book, chapter, and verse and wanted to write those down, there are those. Feel free to leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. Later, people.